Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. Yes, you got it right. And I'm with Emily and Gareth.
Good morning.
And you can text us on 8 12 15 about anything. I mean anything. We might not necessarily read it out, but it could be the most obscure thing, the most mainstream thing. It could be Cheryl Cole's dismissal, for example. I'm not saying we're going to talk about that, but would it be true to say that the Americans... this is a joke coming, right?
Yeah, okay.
Gath, if anyone at home who's... Don't have a drink of tea just at the moment. I don't want to choke anyone. Just settle down. Swallow whatever you... Stop that. Okay, relax. It's a joke.
This is quite a build-up.
Joke on the way, yeah?
The confidence of the man.
No, well, I'm not that confident, but I you know, just in case... It's a sort of joke that some people will think absolutely hilarious, and some people... So the Americans, could it be said that they've... ready? Could it be said... Let's get it right. The Americans... could it be said that they've sent Cole to Newcastle?
Oh.
Okay, and relax.
How does that rate as a response from an audience? Oh.
It's not one I'm unfamiliar with. I like to operate in a complete vacuum of silence.
Does Cheryl Cole live in Newcastle anymore? Or?
But their accent, you see, is,
Okay,
yeah.
in a way she's been exiled back to her roots.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a very mainstream sort of thing you might get on a works email from the office joker. You know that guy with the Homer Simpson tie? That guy, who no one actually likes. It's an email you might get from him.
Yeah.
But except there's a metaphor of being returned to Newcastle as if being dismissed because of one's ethnic roots.
It's rather clever, really. It's multi-layered.
It's not that clever. I just thought I didn't want it to go unnoticed. I think most of the jokes today I'm going to frame ornately in that fashion. Oh, it's so lovely to be here today. I am thinking it might rain, but who cares about that if you listen to it on the radio? Where you are, it might be smashing. I've been out on the town this week in a fabulous Showbiz, and I have to say, I had an occurrence.
Oh dear, are you all right?
Well, I was on the red carpet outside the Garrick Theatre in the West End of London.
That's a Thespy red carpet, slightly different.
Very Thespy. And it was the opening night of Pygmalion.
Oh, yes.
And so I was standing there, and I'd been invited by a friend, who's a female friend, who works in the theatre. So I arrived alone, and then they said to me, various paparazzi people went, Frank, for photographs, you know. So I stood there, and I said to her, oh, you come and, get in the photographs. And I stood did photographs with this woman. And then one of the photographers, as it subsided at the end... And being photographed by the paparazzi is a bit like kissing. You want to be the one who breaks away first, ideally. You don't want to be there for the last flash, and then relax in just normal light, and then leave.
And then you hear Trevor as Trevor McDonald comes up behind you.
Exactly. And I don't want, who got a BAFTA for being able to read out loud on. So congratulations to Trevor. If I shouldn't think he's up before about 1.
No, he's quite louche.
He is quite loose. So anyway, as I was leaving, one of the paparazzi, it's quite a sort of a... If you can imagine a down-at-heel Daddy Warbucks type of figure, he says to me, oh, you can take your daughter inside now. And I laughed, and I went in, and I started watching Pygmalion, and about 20 minutes in, I thought, hold on a minute. For all he knew, that could have been my girlfriend or wife.
Yeah, well, exactly.
And then it was actually a terrible, scathing insult.
It could have caused a lot of problems.
And isn't it horrible when you don't realise the insult until afterwards? It's too late to do anything about it. So
try living with me.
Yeah. Well, it's... shall I?
Oh, go on.
No, I don't want people saying, take your mother inside now. Oh, it was a joke.
You better hurry.
Goodness.
Me and David Baddiel coming at you this morning.
But it was very fine in lots of other ways.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Cara Toynton. Now, she's what I call STH. Do you know what that stands for?
I hope it's not a very badly put together anagram.
No.
STH.
It's surprisingly talented hottie.
Yes.
Because she's actually a very good actress.
I have to say she was a very good Eliza Doolittle in the in Pygmalion, and I spoke to her. I did a strange thing actually, because she had a mirrored dress on, a dress with proper sections of actual glass mirror.
Very directional.
I mean, how you'd wash something like that? I don't know. I imagine it's sort of 2 parts Lenore, 1 part Winderley. But anyway, I spoke to her and I realised as I was speaking, I was absent-mindedly. I just had what do they call those little hors d'oeuvres?
Canapes, darling.
I had a canapé.
Yeah, canapes.
And it had a mint leaf in it. I ate the lot. I don't care. I thought, mint leaf, lovely, I won't have to clean my teeth now tonight. But of course it left quite, it can leave quite a bit of green in the teeth. And I found
especially in your teeth, Frank,
well,
no offence.
my teeth hold food like
Birmingham teeth.
Yeah. And as I was speaking to her, I caught myself absent-mindedly checking my teeth in her dress. I don't know if that's altogether polite, is it? And what a strange coincidence, because someone told me that they'd been for dinner with Michael Stipe once, and at the end of the meal, he'd picked up a knife and checked his teeth in the knife. And I met Michael Stipe, and I asked him about this. He said, oh, yeah, he said, I learnt that from Audrey Hepburn. And, of course, Audrey Hepburn played Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady, and the whole thing comes round in my end is my beginning, as I believe T.S. Eliot said.
Is that how he puts... You know how Michael Stipe has just the thin line of blue makeup across his eyes? Is that because he uses the knife? And he thinks, oh, I've done it all now, but that's the only bit he can see.
I think he actually goes paintballing in a burqa.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Frank, we've had some texts in already this morning.
On 8, 12, 15...
Frank, it's a good thing you didn't realise the comment by the paparazzi was an insult straight away, or you may have snapped.
Oh, they're off.
Very good. We've had this is from the iPhone user app.
We don't need to know how they sent it, darling.
What's that? Is that a pub? Very poorly named pub, and it's a bit of a last-minute thing. What are we going to call it? Hold on, what's in my pocket? The iPhone user app. Arms.
Hi everyone, please mention the Rugg family in Sweden. Have a great day.
Who's that from?
That's from Barry Rugg.
Barry Rugg? Oh, it's been a while.
What?
It's been a while.
We don't normally do those cards. We mention them. In what context?
Actually, I think it says Absolute Radio 80s. I think it might be Absolute 80s.
Well, he sounds more Absolute 70s Barry Rugg. We don't get many Barrys these days.
If Barry Rugg walked in on his wife and she was with another man, would he pull the rug from under him?
Right,
it's all right, you won't hear that. He's listening to Absolute 80s now. He's probably boogieing on down to Howard Jones.
Bit of Lamar. Frank, we've had a correzione from John. Hi, Frank. There's no such word as paparazzis. Paparazzi is the plural of paparazzo. Good story, though. John, that's your manager.
Well, if that was a good story, what's Beowulf? What's Sir Gawain and the Green Knight? What's the Pearl? Anyway, thanks for that correction. So if I say there's more than one paparazzi, I say there's paparazzo.
I think you'd sound awful if you said that. I'd stick to how you were.
I was in a cafe with a man once who ordered due cappuccini, an English man. And
at least he didn't say cup of chino.
Cup of chino?
I have heard that.
I'd be happier with that. I prefer ignorance to grandness.
I don't like drinking trousers. It's cappuccino.
He's on fire.
No, he's actually on fire for anyone tuning in. But don't worry, it's going to be everything will be fine. Paul O'Grady was at the opening night at Pygmalion.
Oh, was he?
Oh, yes, he was. And
now you get on quite well with him, don't you?
Well, we have a common love.
Northern Canines?
No.
Oh, okay.
Popeye.
Really?
Yeah, we're both big Popeye enthusiasts. Well, what do you know?
Wow. How did you discover this?
Well, Al Murray was he was our go-between.
Oh, he got involved.
Yeah, because apparently Paul O'Grady mentioned Popeye to him. I think he actually mentioned olive oil. It was a terrible misunderstanding. And Al Murray said, you should talk to Frank Skinner. He's a big Popeye fan. And so we bonded over that. I like it. Who'd have thought Paul O'Grady be...
It's quite surprising. I'm quite a fan of O'Grady, though.
Yeah. Oh, God, he's a legendary figure now. And my old dresser was there, Ray. I did a play in the West End at the Whitehall Theatre, and in the second half, at one point, a woman forces me to cover myself in tomato puree. I'm just there in my pants, and I cover myself, and she makes me go right down below and completely cover. I mean, the audience don't, but so I'm plastered. And then I had to do a quick scene change. So I'd race into the wings, and Ray, my dresser, who was one of the gayest men I've ever met, but I mean, it's a good thing.
Did he have spectacles on a lanyard?
Well, he called the section that he kept in, he called it Fruit Corner. But anyway, I would race in, and he would set about me with wet wipes, and I'd do the under the pant area, and he'd do the rest of me. Yeah. And I said to him, on the last night you can do the whole thing. I said, it's better than a card, isn't it? And he was there. He was telling me about how he'd worked with a comedian and they were doing a pantomime. It wasn't going at all well, very quiet crowd. And the audience said, and the comedian said to him, "Oh God, I'm going to have to ask for a round for the police." And he said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, that's what you do with a quiet crowd." So he stopped the action, he stopped the pantomime midway through, walked to the front and said, "Let's just take a moment out, ladies and gentlemen, to think about the police. What brave people they are, what a great job they do. Let's give them a round of applause." And everyone gave him a round. And after that he said they were fine.
That's very good. I'm going to write that down.
Well, I should somewhere, probably just after the 9 o'clock news, you'll probably, anyone who stays with us can hang around for when I ask the entire listening audience to applaud the police.
Frank, too much info for breakfast time. Frank, stay above the pant line until after 9 o'clock watershed, please.
I think that's fair enough. I apologise profoundly. Stay above the pant line. That's a slogan and a half. I went to a sci-fi talk at the British Library this week. William Gibson was there, great writer, and he said the slogan for the human species should be, "Who knew?" I love it.
This is Frank Skinner. Absolute Radio.
Frank, we've had a text in from 131. Would the police interlude in the panto be called a cop-out?
I blame Gareth for this. He's led our listeners astray.
I so
taking
blame
no
him.
responsibility for that at all.
That doesn't surprise me. Can I discuss something with you guys? One of my mounting obsessions this week.
We're working.
One of my mounting obsessions this week has been
Everest.
JLS.
Obsessions.
Can I tell you why? Because I saw them popping up at the Chelsea Flower Show, which I thought was extraordinary.
Yeah, you never know. It's been on telly all week, the Chelsea Flower Show, like it's a really massive deal.
Yeah.
It's a flower show. And JLS, do you imagine that
they're not flower fans?
I don't see them as horticultural figures at all. Although I imagine that they went there specifically to buy... You know those flowers that you get that dance if you play music? You ever see those at shops? Do you know the ones when they play music, they just wobble about? In fact, JLS have stolen their act, you could argue. I bet they were looking high and low. Have you got any of those... man, you got any of those any of those innate flowers what dance when you play like the music? That's what they would be saying.
What I didn't like, Frank, in some of the photographs, a
woman behind stall saying, "You have the neatest hair I have ever seen." I mean, is it drawn on?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because one of the Daily Mail online users, who are some of my favourite demographic, are nestling around in there, they've said, "Love these boys, hard workers, first-class behaviour, first-class role models."
Really?
Yeah, first-class behaviour. I don't know if we could say that.
Yeah, you think they'd have been bright enough not to sign it, JLS.
Marvin off of JLS.
Yeah.
But no, I did...
you know the names.
Oh, yeah.
Brilliant.
I'll tell you what I found disturbing. The sort of jacket, the detail of the jacket flapping into the gypsophilia. They weren't properly dressed.
Yes, I've always found that. You've seen that film too. I had a very confusing conversation, just to remind me of, with my manager. He was on about the fact that someone he knew was reading a book and making notes on it. Let's say her name was Suzanne. I'll change it to protect the innocent. And I said, I'd love to see Suzanne's marginalia. And there was a terrible pause at the other end of the phone before he worked it out and realised what I felt tense, and I knew I hadn't said anything wrong.
Oh.
Anyway, back to the Chelsea Flower Show.
Yeah. So I just thought that was quite strange. And then I noticed there was another strange sighting. Kim Jong-il, the Korean leader, he...
Oh, but yeah, I think he likes a cactus.
No, he wasn't at the Chelsea Flower Show.
I was going to say, he would have been a surprise turn-up.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, a girlfriend bought me a cactus back from holiday once.
Oh, yeah.
And it was in a box, and she said, look what I've got, and it was beautiful. And I said, that's lovely, and I put it on the table, and a spider came out of it the size of an iPhone. One of the scariest things that's ever happened to me.
Oh,
I think it was a plot. Anyway, Kim
Jong-il...
Is it Jong or Young?
I don't know, but I'm sure our listeners will tell us.
Let's call the whole thing our beloved leader.
He was in a supermarket buying salad dressing, which I found extraordinary.
Oh, I read about this. I read about it.
Yes.
And I'll tell you whenever I read about it, it's because it said...
Yeah.
It had a thing about his eating habits, Kim Jong-il, and it says it doesn't eat eel. I'd eat eel just for the pun. But he doesn't like anchovies on a pizza.
Oh.
Which is the polar... I knew there was lots of things me and Kim Jong-il didn't have in common. But I cannot eat a pizza without anchovies. I mean, to me, a pizza without anchovies is not a pizza. It's like a Grand Prix without an accident. What's the point? He won't touch them.
The good thing is he's very laid back, though. I don't think he'd have a go at anyone if they brought him the wrong pizza. He doesn't strike me as the type.
Oh, no, he'll say, no, it'll do. Don't worry about it.
Fabulous glasses.
Yeah.
Sort of prosecution lawyer in Crown Court. Those sort of glasses.
I think it's a bit like... who was the name of the judge? George Ito in the O.J. Simpson. He liked a big spectacle. He was the one when the woman said... she said... The prosecution says, what radio station were you listening to when you heard the noise? And she said, oh, KVJF. And he went... And the judge went, classic rock. No British judge ever would do that. And also, apparently, when he has rice, he'll only have it if it's cooked over the burning wood from a sacred mountain in Korea.
Oh, I thought I was high maintenance.
Exactly. I read once that Joe McElderry will only have toast cooked over wood from judges' houses. How the mighty have fallen.
Apparently, I think they like Chinese food in North Korea because apparently China is their closest ally and provider of significant amounts of food aid.
Oh.
The thing is with Chinese food aid is it fills you up for a while, but then after a while you need some more.
Yeah, that is true. I've been to Korea. In fact, I have straddled North and South Korea with one mighty sort of spread-eagled leg stance.
Wow. Bring them together, that's a beautiful image.
Yeah. And you can see all the soldiers at the other side looking back at you. I mean, they're just in their pants, the North Koreans, they've got nothing sticks. But yeah, and just over the border, there's this, you can see a city, and when you look through the binoculars, it's 2D. They've just built it out of boards to look impressive. Anyway, these aren't interesting or funny
Potemkin,
things.
that's called the Potemkin village.
Yes, your Potemkin village. What about that? Anyway, well, I'd like to know what curious locations our listeners have spotted celebrities in, because it's all very well seeing them at the opening night of Pygmalion. I know you've got loads.
I once saw...
not all in my apartment.
Teddy Sheringham in Essex coming out of a co-op with Bakewell tarts.
Very good.
What, Bakewell tarts from Box Fizz? Oh, yeah. That's a fabulous story.
Frank on radio. Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. Absolute Radio.
Oh, we were talking about spotting celebrities in obscure places.
Yeah, in
what about
places.
this? I mean, yeah, I was in a small cafe, a tiny cafe, not even like a flashy cafe, the sort of cafe you might have, say, a pie and chip.
Fry out, maybe?
Yeah, in Cirencester, in Gloucestershire. And Gary Kemp came in. Spandau Ballet.
Oh.
And the other one, is that two Kemp brothers, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought you were referring to Tony Hadley, who's a friend of the show, as the other one.
He means that, not Martin. Not Martin Kemp. Yeah. Gary Kemp, so we sat and chatted,
Did you?
Mainly about the Bermuda Triangle. But, and then I think I asked him if he'd like to applaud the police. But no, he's a very nice chap.
He's not a fan, apparently.
He's a nice chap.
Tony in a bun shop in Cambridge.
Tony in a bun shop, I know. Oh, yeah. Who?
Are all Gareth's celebrity spots patisserie related?
Oh, I thought that was a spot, Tony in a bun shop. I was going to think, can you be a little bit more specific about the celebrity? I was thinking, yeah, Tony Hadley, Tony Bennett.
That would make some sense if Tony Hadley was seen in a bun shop.
It would explain a lot. Yeah, I thought he'd swallowed an airbag. Sorry, my nose is making an odd noise. And I sort of...
it's like Gareth kissing.
Gareth kissing. What happened to him? Didn't he used to be the Foreign Secretary of the United States of America? Oh, that was Henry kissing.
Frank 131. I used to regularly see Roy Walker running on the treadmill in the gym of the P&O cruise ship Oceana.
Really?
Yes.
I don't imagine Roy Walker as a jogging type.
Well, no, it's Roy Walker.
Roy Slow Talker Walker. That's it. Imagine he's like also Roy Slow Walker Talker. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I saw. Well, this is an odd one. I was watching. Those cop shows they have on satellite TV, where it's people like drunks getting arrested in the street on a Saturday night, and they sort of pixelate their faces and that. And the cop was saying, right, come on, Sonic, I can't take the pair of you, and all that kind of stuff. I was watching one of those.
Yeah.
And one of the people that they stopped in the street was Eric Bristow, the darts player, on a sort of a, cop action...
That's so brilliant.
The Bad Streets, or something like that it was called. Eric Bristow had an argument with someone in the street.
Well, he's quite bad-tempered, Eric Bristow.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. One of my favourites, Frank, I saw Martin Degville from Zig Zig Sputnik. Do you remember them?
Yeah.
He was on a beach in Greece, and it wasn't working for him because he had all these dreads and the piercings. I think maybe boots, maybe DM boots on the beach as well.
Did he have the netting fingerless gloves? He used to wear a netting fingerless glove because it's not a sun thing that you want, is it? You don't want to take them off at the night and you've got all the web work in brown and white on your hand. That would be... You'd look like a Pringle sweater.
This is a text from 184. I've just seen Ben Fogle in my local park with his toddler and dog Janet. Oh, and he's with his toddler and dog Janet. London.
Ask Janet. I like the idea that Ben Fogle's dog was called Janet. And how did this woman know? Does it have some sort of name tag? Or did she hear him going, Janet, come on now, come away from that. And can I have a little confession corner? Okay. I'm not quite totally certain who Ben Fogle is.
Ben Fogle, he's Laura's a big fan of Ben Fogle.
That doesn't help.
That's not helping the identity.
No,
for all I know, he
was in Castaway originally.
Yeah, he was on
Frank,
Castaway. That's
which
why
was
he
the
was
middle-class reality show. Yeah.
Castaway hasn't been on for about 10 years, I think.
No, but he's made it ever so big since then.
He does
what?
Country File or Country
Ben
Watch
Fogle.
with Gwen Humble. He does a show. He does something with Gwen Humble.
And sort of news. So he's on.
Does he eat humble pie?
He's on a program about. He's on a program about a zoo.
Oh my god!
I've no idea who he is. I'm going to Google him. Let's put some adverts on. I can show me some Google images. Fogle, you say? Did he used to live in Fogle's Wood?
We only have this extra. This is Frank Skinner. Absolute Radio.
Natasha said, I swore at Pat Sharp at a cash point in Edgware where he tried to push in front of me and said, do you know who I am?
He never said that.
Apparently so.
That's a risk, isn't it?
At a cash point?
He's a walking quiz.
He is. Quite a tough quiz as well. Yeah, I say that's mastermind.
Wait, don't tell me.
Yeah.
Come in.
Oh god,
Or maybe
him and Ben Fogle, I'd be out in the first round.
Maybe he urgently needed money. I'm just saying.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe he had amnesia.
Frank, we've had some more curious locations for celebs. I saw Russell Grant at the Bomber Shack.
I'm worried. I'm already worried. What is that?
It's a bar in the British Virgin Islands.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's what BVI stands for.
Well, I hope so, yeah.
It looks like quite a dodgy place.
Does it?
Mm.
Yeah, but I imagine he's a party animal, Russell Grant.
I can imagine him in a sort of a Hawaiian shirt.
I can as well.
I need to imagine him.
Just an Hawaiian shirt? You can imagine him in? I can imagine him in a bomber shack. I certainly.
Hey, we spotted him in Soho.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
But not Russell Grant.
Yeah. Although to be fair, I would have imagined him maybe to be there, so that wasn't a strange place to see him.
Yes.
In Soho.
I've got the right bloke. This is the one that's in the remake of Arthur. No, Russell Grant. I haven't seen him for years.
Oh, he's been at the Bomber Shack at their legendary monthly lunacy parties, adults only. Tony Hadley at McDonald's. Someone's texted in about 7 times about that.
I think that's some sort of veiled gag, isn't it?
It's not separate sightings.
I like that we've had a whole rush. Poor old Tony Hadley suddenly become our default fat man.
I was in East Finchley yesterday, and I saw.
Are you reading this, or is this your?
This is a true story, and I saw a McDonald's sign, and I thought, I'll get a quick burger because I was late for something. Imagine, and it was they had the lit up McDonald's sign, but when I went, it was the offices for McDonald's.
Oh,
it wasn't actually a McDonald's at all.
And they still had the golden arches.
Yeah. I bet they get loads of people going in there.
Yeah.
Into reception.
I bet they do. Well, how many stars do they wear in the office section? Hey, they must look like General Patton in there.
I think they should have to serve food if they've got the arches up.
Well, they should have a few spares for people who are confused. I'd agree with that. As if I get the urge, I go to Burger King. Anyway.
I'm glad we're on the subject of burgers. Because did you see the barbecue at number 10 this week?
I thought it was going to be a long analysis of Rodin's The Burgers of Calais sculpture.
No, they're one of my favourites.
Inappropriate.
Did you see the burger flipping? I didn't like it.
Did. What was
Obama was over here and there was this big visit, so they did a big PR stunt essentially, didn't they?
He did a lot of that stuff. I thought he was above that. He's really. He was an heroic figure, and now he's playing doubles table tennis with David Cameron. That, for me, is worse than anything Ryan Giggs did. Can I just say, saying that out loud has sent a shiver through my body. There was a little part of that thought, that is all right now, isn't it? That's perfectly okay to say. Yeah. No, I don't like this. I mean, for me, he might as well have turned up at that barbecue in a stockings and suspenders apron.
I didn't like the rolled-up sleeves and the ties dangling in the beef patty.
Never
it was
works.
horrible. It's like Salesman at the Ideal Home exhibition. Didn't like that.
No, I just think you don't want him doing stunts. You know that moment, remember when you saw Cerys Matthews for the first time on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, and thought, oh no, no. That's what I'm feeling about Obama now. He started to do publicity picture things with Cameronian.
Yeah.
No good.
Yes, it's a shame.
I have to say that. Sorry?
In their 2 hours of Crunch Talks, they had 30 minutes alone. Like, just by themselves.
They had Crunch Talks at the barbecue? I thought they obviously overcooked it.
The lettuce.
Yeah, they had a big debate. How did that happen? I mean, that was completely charred. Well, I'm sorry. Oh, you're sorry. You make me sick.
Kim Jong-il turned up looking for the dressing.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but it must be weird when they said, so, now's the time for you to be alone.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it must be a bit awkward.
I hate it when that happens at the barbecue.
Why do we have to be alone?
I now realise recently, I used to get invited to barbecues all the time. All the time. I mean, not all the time. Summer.
Yeah.
This summer, it's been a beautiful summer. I think you'll agree, I have not had one invite. And I still started thinking about it, and I thought, hold on, I didn't last summer either. Something has happened. I can't remember what it is. I think, I as you may know, I'm anti-bonfire night because of my Roman Catholic allegiances. And I think that has got twisted around, and people think that I don't like barbecues. That's what I think. I think it's Chinese whispers. In case you don't know, Chinese whispers are whispers with no concern whatsoever for human rights.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. Frank Skinner. Absolute Radio.
Oh, just let him finish whistling. That was Happy Mondays with Step On. It's a great track, that, isn't it? It's really, it's lifted me up Whereas if we played Lift Me Up by Jerry Halliwell, I'd step on it.
Oh, I thought you were a big fan of her work.
No, I do. I like Jerry Halliwell. She's the best Spice Girl. She's.
I beg to differ.
Do you?
Victoria Beckham fan.
Can you believe? This is May 2011. We're talking about our favourite Spice Girl. That's how topical this show is. Blimey.
131 has texted in about...
131's texted in all morning. Don't think I don't remember a number, because I do.
About Obama and Cameron. No wonder all those politicians went to the barbecue. They're used to grillings. Which David Cameron did that joke on the day.
Oh, did he?
Actually, yeah.
I mean...
It's probably the first time in history I can say a British Prime Minister has given an American president a bit of a grilling.
Oh.
Which sounds like quite a nasty accident that happened.
Yeah, maybe that did happen.
Obama with a big bandage
you don't
on,
want to be
very upset.
You don't want to be seeing David Cameron as your comedy mentor. 131. Is it 131 or 130?
131.
130. He's the younger brother, isn't he? I saw that. Did you see that Obama? He said, when he spoke at the House of Commons, he said, I've been told that the last 3 speakers to address the House of Commons has been the Pope, the Queen and Nelson Mandela. He said, which is either a very high bar or the beginning of a very funny joke. And I thought, well, Barack, if it's the beginning of a very funny joke, let's hear the end of it. Nothing.
Well, exactly.
It's here, he's lost it.
Yeah.
So I thought, it's a joke coming here now.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Did you finish it off for him, then?
Let's just get ready for this. There's a joke coming. So I thought, what about this? He could have said, I've been told that the last 3 speakers to address the House have been the Pope, the Queen and Nelson Mandela. So I guess it's a nice change to hear from someone whose bath doesn't have a door on it. I think that would have gone really well if he'd have done that.
I like it.
He's edgy. He's a bit edgy, Gareth. And he's thought that through, but... did he ask me? No, he didn't ask me.
No,
he's too busy playing table tennis in a doubles. That's what we should have done. We should have had him and Nelson Mandela on one side and the Pope and the Queen on the other. I've arrived at those teams completely randomly. Yeah. I'm happy to mix them up.
I worry about the Pope and the Queen, though. Same dress nightmare.
Yeah, there used to be an old joke, didn't there, about the Pope and the Queen on the balcony, and she says, watch this, and she waves a hand, and the crowd go mad, and she says, there you go, with one wave of my hand I cause an absolute sensation. And he says I could cause an even bigger sensation with just one with one nod of my head, and she says, go on then, he headbutts her. Remember that joke?
No, but I like it.
Okay.
Of course, they're both the heads of different churches, aren't they, the Queen and the Pope?
Yeah.
I was thinking
religion
of that as
on
an
Absolute
Radio. The joke, but I couldn't think of anything.
Oh, that's all right. Don't feel bad about it. What else?
So, you may know that my good-looking brother Josh is away in New York at film school.
God, he is the golden boy, isn't he? I didn't realise.
Hold on a minute.
Well, I mean, come on.
Hold on a minute.
I
may not have the looks.
You do call him your good-looking brother.
No, you may not, but I attempted to get in touch with him when I was in New York, and he was too good-looking to text me back. That's what Gareth said.
That's the problem with being that good-looking. I mean, I'm speaking as an outsider. But yeah, he must be, he's busy, I would imagine.
He's very busy. Well, he's saying he's busy on his course, but my mum is quite an avid Facebook watcher / spy. She trawls Facebook for details of her children and what Josh might be getting, because he doesn't keep in touch very much. He's still good looking, but this week she hit the mother load.
You can imagine him sitting down to write an email and thinking, no, I'm too good looking. Sorry. She hit the mother load.
She discovered a group of photographs that a young lady had put on her Facebook site, and these photographs were open to the public, so anyone can look at these photographs.
Okay.
I've immediately gone off them.
Hold on, the envelope.
So I've handed out envelopes to you.
Oh yes, I've got my envelope.
In those envelopes are a selection of the photos that were on this website.
Okay.
Oh, Frank, have you opened yours?
I'm open. Oh, this is a bit like the BAFTAs. And the winner is...
Oh my God!
Oh,
it's like the last days of Rome.
So when Frank saw me printing these photos out, I was trying to do it secretly, but you asked if I was looking at pornography.
Haven't I seen you in that shirt? Does your mum buy in bulk at Christmas?
I have seen him in that shirt, but guess what? He's not in that pose.
No. Well, I think it's young people enjoying themselves, isn't it?
Oh, Frank, these are extraordinary.
It looks like one of those adverts when there's at the end of it you see a pair of frilly pants with gonorrhea written on it. Do you remember those adverts? It looks like one of those. I always found them strangely enticing.
No, but that's the thing about being...
When in Marks and Spencer's, they said, we don't have them, now get out.
That's the thing about him being good looking, is that they do work these photos, I think. They look like a shoot.
I'm not happy with his hair.
I was going to say, do you know what I find reassuring? The hair's not looking good in one of these photos.
No, it's a bit... it looks a bit Jarvis Cocker.
Yeah.
You know that no shampoo since about 98? That kind of look.
There are pictures of him kissing a young lady, and...
yeah, you say kissing, biting.
The lip biting is what makes it a little bit too...
I mean, we've all bitten our lip in certain situations, but not other people's.
Yeah. He must have been, said something awkward and bit her lip.
Yeah.
The thing, my mum, is this lady has some piercings and a tattoo. And my mum was like, oh, he's hanging around with people with tattoos. And that's the thing with people with tattoos. You start hanging around with them and then you think it's okay to have tattoos.
Well, she's probably right.
It's true.
I want to know,
problem with tattoos.
how did you... Because this isn't on your brother's Facebook, it's on someone... How did she find...
So, this girl had made friends with my brother on Facebook, and then they have updates on Josh's Facebook thing saying... Josh recently made friends with these people, and so she clicked on these individual...
His friends.
Yes,
that's some
Gareth's mum, she'll click a link and think nothing of it.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I'm kind of fascinated by Gareth's mum investigating Facebook. I kept my parents at a distance when I was a young man, as far as my private life was concerned. My dad used to say to me, he said, "You're as deep as the ocean."
Did he?
We used to communicate mainly by sonar. Yeah, I didn't tell him anything. Though when there were moments,
Didn't they pry ever?
They sort of stumbled across, I remember that conversation, never bring another one of those magazines into this house. It was on his only Condé Nast Traveller.
That's what I said to my dad.
It was a class thing. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and we did find a naughty magazine.
Who did?
My sister and I once.
Oh, no.
So, no, but we dealt with it in what I think was a very responsible way.
We put it in a hedge for others. That's what we all did.
We decided to put on a play for my parents with the sole intention of exposing him.
It's like Hamlet. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And then we incorporated this magazine into the play.
Wow.
And then we watched his face. That's how we roll.
You're joking.
No. And we watched my mum's face.
It is exactly like Hamlet.
Just like Hamlet.
That is brilliant.
What was the storyline?
It was about a businessman going into a shop to buy something and opening his briefcase, and a naughty magazine fell out.
And do you think he got the reference?
Oh, he got it, my friend.
Did he storm out halfway through?
No, he left it another year.
Oh, okay. God, that was a slow burner, wasn't it, that play? Oh, my God. Well, I'm with my parents. It was one of those, as the old joke says, they didn't know I drank till I came home sober one night. It was a bit like that. So what else? Have we had any contact from the outside
We
world?
have. We've had an email in, actually.
An
Frank.
email?
Yes.
Well, is it Gareth's mum?
No. This is from someone called Yemi. Yeme. Hi, Frank, Gareth and Emily.
Could be
Yeem, possibly.
Yemi.
What was the comment Frank said at the end of the show, Tina, get me the axe? I know occasionally you like to move away from the usual good day to you, Frank, which is fine. However, I'm guessing it's something I wouldn't know because I'm too young, being only 16, so I'd really appreciate it if you could enlighten me and perhaps the rest of your teenage listeners.
Well, I think I have explained. Anyway, it's Tina Bring Me the Axe, to be precise. And there's a biopic about Joan Crawford, the actress, called Mommy Dearest. And I think it's when she gets dumped by the film studio, and she has this very beautiful garden at home, and she goes home and she tears up in a mad frenzy. She tears up, and the daughter's crying, and she's ripping all the flowers out the ground. And there's one tree. And then she says, Tina, bring me the axe. And the girl has to go and get the axe, and she chops. If only JLS had done something like this at the Chelsea Flower Show. They would have won me over, but no, it's very marvellous.
There's going to be a full reading list and filmography on the website for the listeners to be able to get all the references.
I think that's a good idea. But when I was talking to Ray, my dresser, at the Pygmalion opening this week. Do you know the Pygmalion opening? It's a sort of an abyss in Thailand. No, and we were talking, and he said he's been working with Matthew Perry, and he said what a lovely bloke he was, really lovely bloke. And it's a nice thing to hear about a celebrity, but in a way I like to hear of them when they're absolute monsters. You know that?
Oh, good. I've got lots of stories.
Those are the best. Maybe not on air. But Joan Crawford was, worth seeing that film, because she was a proper old-fashioned monster star. She wasn't frightened to get the coat hanger out if the children were naughty.
No wire hangers.
No.
She didn't like wire.
No, she could turn. And
we've had some more texts in as well, Frank, just regarding celebrity sightings. I saw Cliff Richard at A&E St Peter's Hospital. He'd hurt his finger playing tennis. That's 780.
Well, imagine that's a regular thing. He plays a lot of tennis, doesn't he? Isn't he? He could have been a professional tennis player, I understand, Cliff Richard.
Yeah, well,
he still could. I believe his age is going backwards now. I've met Cliff, of course.
Have you?
Very slim. I mean, really slim.
Snake-hipped.
I mean, yeah, beyond snake-hipped. I'd say the belt. You could see from the sort of rough edge to the belt holes that he'd had to put in his own holes. He'd bought a belt, probably a child's belt, still. Just hung on him.
Oh, he'd had to make gouge out a Swiss Army hole.
Well, I imagine that what Cliff had done, he'd gone out onto his balcony with a hammer and a nail, and he'd maybe put something. I imagine he's been prepared to sacrifice a chopping board, and he'd think, well, I can always get another chopping board. I need a belt. I don't know what, if my trousers fall down, and everything will be, people will know. And he's gone out there with the hammer and nail, and he's put down. He's got that, and he's thought, no, I'm going to have to go a little further. And he's put, because I could see an unused ragged hole, right. which he'd, unless he'd lost more weight, I don't know. I imagine now he's virtually vapour. Cliff, he's so thin, but a great man, and I'm a particular fan of Travelling Light, and nobody knows about that more than he does. I think he weighs about 4 pounds. I don't know if he weighs anything. I think he might have gone into minus.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Mom, Ford & Son's Little Lion Man, and they're blotted out swearing. Does they think that makes them rebellious and edgy because they've got it's not this time? Stupid rubbish.
Frank?
Sorry, I don't mean.
Can't say that.
I don't mean their human essence. I mean just that particular thing that they could have said. Flipping.
Made a terrible mistake.
Yeah,
this time.
Flipping. It's not Grain Chill in the 80s.
Well, for me, it'll always be Grain Chill in the 80s. Roland. I'll tell you what. Speaking of television, I was watching. I was just flicking around. It was lunchtime. You want something on. And they had some old clips of the Newport Folk Festival, and I imagined I'd be watching Bob Dylan, Joan Baez.
Who was 70 this week, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. If you're listening, Bob. You'll get it. And anyway, country dancers came on. Young people, check shirts, did this fabulous country dance while the old fiddler played. And I thought, isn't there something... I honestly there was a tear in my eye. Because I thought, isn't there something marvellous about human beings? Young people like this would take time out to learn country dancing. Quite an elaborate step. Just isn't that, when you're a young person and someone says, hey, do you want to come over to Fergus's on Saturday? We're going to take some meow meow. And you say, no, I can't, that's my country dancing night. That's my person. That's the future of civilization. That person is going country dancing. We should... hobbies get a bad name, but I think we should all embrace hobbies unusual things that we do with our life.
You're good at hobbies, Frank, as well.
I love a hobby.
You've done ice skating. You had there were other dancing.
Horse riding, I did.
Horse riding. Yeah, I did that.
Combine the two. It could barely stand. Yeah, I did salsa, tango.
Yeah, I
drawing.
remember it well. Drawing.
I'm one of the few people.
Drawing.
I did drawing lessons.
Drawing lessons. Did you do sums lessons as well?
I had to quit drawing lessons because I picked up a back injury. It's true. I think he'd
a smaller pencil.
Yeah. Well, I think the way he'd set the easel, I was slightly arched. And after about 2 hours of drawing this table on a chair for about 4 weeks, I started to have terrible pains, and it put me right off. So wouldn't you love to be a marvellous? Anyway, I'm thinking Morris dancing is my next.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, my part of my life is a search for the ultimate on-cool thing to do, and I think, although it's got a kind of an old fertility. You see some of these Morris dancers that just have, the bells on and stuff, but some of them wear like antlers and paint their faces a sort of real fertility, sort of Wicker Man feel. That's the kind of thing I'm after.
Yeah. See, how would you define a hobby? Because it's something you do.
It's just a small creature with hairy feet that lives in the Middle Earth. Sorry, these headphones, they're not good.
It's something you do, I think, just for spiritual growth, essentially, isn't
Exactly.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a very noble thing.
But
fun.
people that just want to drink now,
Recreation.
People are standing in the pub listening to their mates tell them the same thing they've heard a million times, while someone just down the road is learning the theremin. I know who I'd rather be with.
See, Gareth strikes me as a hobby type, Frank.
Really? Well, I always think, do you not have to be committed to a hobby? Can you do a hobby for a bit and then do another hobby?
You have to be committed. That's wicker work you're thinking of. No, yeah, you have to be committed, of course.
Because I haven't got the staying power. Like, I collected stamps for a while and just got bored of it.
They're just ones that came to the letterbox.
Yeah.
Oh, I've done that.
You've got to find the right hobby, obviously.
Historical dolls I collected.
Did you?
Rubbers, I had 400. And I collected...
400 rubbers?
Yes. And historical dolls.
That's brilliant. What historical... Did you have Eric Bloodaxe? The action figure?
I had Bloodwind Pig.
Bloodwind Pig? I'm surprised they qualify. I'd love to know what hobbies, obscure hobbies our listeners have. I bet there's some crackers. I bet there's sort of people who, build Samoan kayaks on a Tuesday night. I bet there is. It's that kind of crowd, is what I'm sensing. Speaking of which, the next song is called Noah's Ark. When I choose a song for the show, I often write myself a little note, and sometimes it'll be stuff like Velvet Underground meets Talking Heads and stuff like that. And when I did the one for this band, The Shoots, I wrote down Beach Boys meets the Beach Boys.
This is Frank Skinner. Absolute Radio.
During the week we had an email from Robin. He said, "Hi team, Peter the Wild, friend of the show, has been in the news. I regularly listen to the Witness podcast from the BBC.
Can I just stop you there? We should explain to new listeners that Peter the Wild was a boy who... What do they call him? The Boy Savage. He was found, and he was
in a German forest.
In a German forest, he was found, and he was it George the First who kept him as a sort of pet on a leash? It's a terrible story, but one that we've spoken about probably 20 times on this show.
So he said he listened to the Witness podcast, which is a great podcast of little stories about history as told by people who were there, like interviews and letters and diaries. Yeah. Last Thursday, their show was about Peter the Wild.
Wow.
Apparently, when he was captured by a gang of villagers in Germany...
I'm loving it already. Peter the Wild really is the gift that keeps on giving.
That's what the villagers said.
Yeah.
Before going to England, he didn't walk upright, but crawled like an animal.
He's a character, no mistake. Of course, I envy him in one respect, because, as I've said before on this show, I have no sense of direction whatsoever, and a psychologist who I met at a party told me that's because I didn't crawl.
Is that right?
Yeah, that some babies, they're sitting, and one day they think, oh, I'll try walking, and they just walk, they never go to the crawling stage. I asked my sister if she could remember, and she said, I said, did I crawl? She said, well, only when you were drinking. And so I just rose up. I went straight to biped. And that's why I have no sense of direction.
That's why you have a poor sense of direction.
So that he's crawling. Oh man, he'd make a great passenger in the car. You know, if you got in a bit of a snarl up, he'd know all the rat runs. Good old.
Oh, I love Peace of the Wild.
No, I do too.
Frank on radio. Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. Absolute Radio.
That was Elbow with Open Arms.
I went to see them this week with Absolute Radio.
Yeah, I was invited. Enough said. The odd thing, of course, is when you've got open arms, your elbows are probably at their most hidden. Yeah,
it was actually
weird.
a lovely evening. I bonded with Adrian Hyatt.
Did you?
Yeah.
Good.
Not in a creepy way.
No.
We just had a nice chat in the crypt.
I never said. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, he's a crypt kind of guy.
Frank, we were talking about hobbies, and we've had a text in from Rowan in Poole saying, "Hi."
Rowing in pool certainly is a hobby.
Yes. Hi, Frank and team. My unusual hobby is collecting sick bags on planes.
Lovely.
That's Ronnie Woods as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Full or
Yeah. Well, what a fabulous... I can see how that would work. You know, the various airlines and stuff.
Rowan says, I started in 1998 when I went travelling. I've got a couple of dozen, and my prized asset is one from Leo Aviation, a flight I feel fortunate to survive. It's a paper bag lined with plastic bag and rather nice logo printed on it.
Well, that's good. I wonder if he's had a hole punch in it and keeps them in a lever arch, or if they're just in a bag.
I think they're more valuable if they haven't got holes punched in them.
I think you're probably right. And we all are. Let's face it.
Practically useful. So it was big news this week.
Big news.
These breaking news.
Sherlock Holmes.
No. It's in the Sun. Big. I mean, the stuff on is about Hitler.
Okay.
There's a lot of breaking news about Hitler.
Not the slow burner.
Keeps coming out.
Yeah. It's true. He's in the papers every week, Hitler. I don't know who does his PR, but they are red hot.
Really good.
You don't think it's you-know-who?
What?
Goebbels.
No, Max Clifford.
Oh.
I wouldn't be surprised if there were connections, I must say. So what's he been up to this time, old...
So, we know he was a fan of dogs.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. But apparently he believed that they could be trained to become part of the army. His plan was for dogs to guard all the camps and stuff.
I think the idea of dogs as in a guarding capacity is not that radical, is it?
No, but he really trained them quite a high level.
He did.
Yeah, well apparently
He had them trained.
Yeah,
I was going to say, he was a bit busy, wasn't he?
bossy.
Yeah.
He set up a school to train dogs to talk.
Hold it now, you've moved on a stage. I thought they were guarding, they're talking
No,
now.
they were
They can
talking.
talk, yes. Star pupil
ridiculous.
was an Airedale Terrier called Rolf. He could tap out letters of the alphabet with his paws.
Yeah, right.
And was said to have speculated about religion and learnt poetry.
Oh, get lost.
He speculated about... Did Shep speculate often? In my
I think
experience, dogs tend to sleep and just defecate, really.
Yeah, exactly. Defecate rather than speculate. Well, that's absolute. I mean, maybe dog. I don't know. Maybe Shep could talk, and I don't know German. Maybe he was talking German.
Yeah,
Maybe means Deutschland
Mein
über
Führer.
alles. Yeah, exactly.
Well, one dog
Do they
was...
wear Nazi armbands then? Actually, there'd be leg bands on a dog. Nazi leg band does sound hard to keep on. Do they have elbows? They have those little nodules that could pass as an elbow in a close-up.
I think they're more
what is this mystery feature photograph?
Apparently, one of the dogs was heard to bark, "Hungry, give me cakes," in German. Which, I don't know what use that would be in military strategy.
That's stolen Joe Brand's act. That's it, you teach these things to talk. They've got no morals. That's the trouble with them.
Apparently also they were going to have a whole range of dogs they taught to fly. It's going to be called the Luftwaffe.
Oh.
Have you made this whole story up?
No, there wasn't all for that. It's true.
No, I knew because I looked it up on the Sun website.
Did you?
When you mentioned it, and I took one of the readers' quotes, a guy called Dalek Buster 523, and he said, "The only thing this proves is that Hitler must have been a complete weirdo." Well, that settles that. I think the jury's been out, but I think that, you know, that's put the last nail in his coffin. Not that he had a coffin, I think he had an ashtray. Anyway, you'll be able to listen to Not the Weekend podcast, because it'll be available from Wednesday to download, and that's a completely separate show that we do in a sort of crazy laid-back, 3 people in a submarine type of a feel to that. Ben Jones is coming up next. Thank you very much for listening. We love you all. I'm not doing much tonight, just going to Wembley to the Champions League final with David Baddiel. You know how it is. But yeah, it's going to be fine. And Tina, bring me the axe, would you?
We only have